Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, muchísimas gracias to everyone for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, and the time you take out your day to share and extend your love with me. Even a word or two from the heart, muchísimas gracias. Also, do please like, share, and leave a comment to help the message get a little rhythm in the hopes that it could reach someone, that it might be some help. I only touch on my personal experience and what I was a part of, or, you know, uh, but I'm not on here to spread poison. Just opening up a little glimpse, hopefully, in the sense that for those that haven't gotten there or on their way there, when things present themselves, because they will in one way or another, they're able to have an angle where to analyze it, right? And make an own decision. But anyways, today I want to speak about a pili that's not really spoken of, or there's not a lot out there. So as you guys know, I don't like to really touch on things that aren't out there or are current for obvious reasons, right? There's enough of that. But people been asking me to touch on them, so I want to touch on personal experience and things for facts that I know that they're out there on them, right? But anyways, I want to talk about the pili katana from Salinas, right? And I want to take you back to, man, we're still slammed, right? It's before I left to the feds. And there was a lot of noise from the camarada. I'm just going to say this. A lot of people relation him with the wiggle. And of course, that's the main reason why he got to where he's at, right? Nevertheless, he has a firme mind, right? I personally crossed words with them on a personal level, but it was uh it was to make feria, right? For silent, and that's who he started with, right? A lot of people don't know that, and know the pili's gone, so it will not be hurtful, but that's who Katana started with, right? He was doing tough things, right, for silent, and at the time, silent was had its own spider web with the Pilis from San Diego, so of course, that name circle ASAP. And it reached Sherm, right? When he was in the feds, and within time, you guys know I split to the feds, and Silent went to Solano. It's when things kicked up, right? And a lot of people don't know the true sponsors, right? Katana was doing a lot of things in the sense of his family, right? Of course, it has more weight than the physical highlights you do, right, for them, believe me. But again, the homie, if you backtrack his time in the system, he did his share, right? And Silent had steam for him, not only for upholding his name in certain spots, but putting money in his lap. When it came to queso, vidrio, stuff like that, as you guys know, Katana's family in Michoacan, they're tough with it. And, a lot of pilis from SZ started circling into the feds, as it usually always happens, right? And of course, it reached solid pilis in the feds. And, as you guys know, Sherm got slammed, and, somehow, some way, Michoacan's big, but there's another powerhouse that has direct links to Michoacan, right? That, don't need nobody, but for some reason, families out there in Michoacan, I'm not gonna say we're related, cause I'd be lying. I don't know what extent of relationship was there, but it happened to be, they were happen to be close, right? Which is Kenny from Ontario. I said it before, has a lot of weight, in Michoacan. And, Katana was able to keep up, in the sense of touching different areas. He started off San Diego, but jumped into OC, you know, definitely San Bernardino, IE, Salinas, but where he had a stronghold, he still does, is up north, right? And we'll just leave it at that. But that was his first sponsor, which was Silent and Kenny. But the big decision before 2018 when he was in Pleasant Valley, where he got blessed, happened on the cost of two camaradas, right, from his area. And it was like the ultimate loyalty, right? I see cats jump on YouTube and speak how they were moving weight and marbles, right? We're talking about Katana. Believe me, we're talking about weight. And again, it's what opens doors, or at least conversations with a lot of peelies, because that's what counts. There's thousands of soldiers, riders. So in reality, a crash test dummy, of course, loyalty, them things between the legs have weight, but not as much as, I'm just saying, right? Two, three peelies from in different spots come and tell you, like, hey, I want 60, I want 80, and you're able to connect that. It goes without saying that, I'll say it, appreciation per se, you're gonna get from peelies. But again, what happened was, there was two camaradas, right? Taz and Clumsy from Salinas. I'm not sure if they were from La Posada or from Bagos, but they were homies, camaradas from Salinas, and they were working again for Silencio, right? And this had happened before Silencio passed away, right? And they were out there, they were doing the thing, right? Clipping, but they were also moving Harley. And I know sincerity, it was Harley that Katana was bringing to the table, but it was a camarada at this time, right? That Billy putting it out there on the streets was Silencio, right? And things happen, That's the biggest error that everyone makes, right? When you're doing Harlem, you start making feria and feria. You never put away for them losses that are gonna come. But 2017, after they had lost Harlem and Silent had given them time, right? You could say Silent wasn't really that Billy that he'd rather sit on time and allow camaradas to pay that he knew were good for it than just straight wash them up from the gate, right? But you see, they caught over 70 years, right? Within time. And it was behind, you guys know, game banging. At least when I heard of it, cause it reached even the feds, right? Cause it was, there was some material, it wasn't, again, marbles that got lost, right? So anyways, it reached up there, on a decision, right? And what pushed it over the edge is, to me personally, I said it then, I'll say it now, it's game banging. I know a lot of people like to touch on it like I'm the papa and it's wrong and this, but I might sound like scandalous, but when you're out there, you might have enemies that are underage, but they're out there. I will use me as an example, as you guys know. I got busted at 16. I got busted for 2 murders, 3 attempted murders, and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So I was a 16-year-old clipping people. So you're sitting in your neighborhood. You have enemigas come and start busting on you. You're gonna ask them, hey, let me see your ID. They're busting on you. You have two options, right? Either tuck your tail between your legs, call it a day for a rebound, or pull up, buck up, and boogie. Como venga y al quien le toque, right? Well, it's what happened, right? It was a minor and a girl. But again, a female that was involved with the enemigos. shooting at these guys, right? Which it shouldn't be an issue, but the debt was there, so it became an issue, right? It's basically they add up weight to wash you up, you know. At that moment, if you're smart, you either lace up and get ready for what's coming, right? Or you buck up and keep coming out to get whacked, cause it's gonna happen. But anyways, since they were from Salinas, you know, the homie wasn't pleasant, right? And they put it in his lap, you know. What are you gonna do? I guess one of them, I don't know if it's Taz or Clumsy, that went back with Katana, right? And Katana did what a good-headed individual should do, right? Which he asked for advice. By this time, monks had passed away, or silence, excuse me, and everything he had been taken over by Babo when Babo was in Solano, right? Babo and Kenny, they have a tough relationship where they had, right? A lot of people, a lot of people don't even realize the weight, the word Babo had in the organization, right? But again, it's not out there, right? But anyways, Babo, somewhere in the Bay Area, he made two pilis, and in agreement with Kenny, they put this in Katana to see how he would react when it came down a personal tip, right? And you know, Katana did what they expected, which is clip him. And again, it wasn't because of the game banging. If you know Bob's history, it should not even be a factor, right? It was a debt that Bobo had taken once Silent passed away as his people. That's how Katana even associated with him. So basically, he decided, he put it together, and the homies got taken out. To what extent? You know, eh, I'll just leave it like that, right? Cause again, I don't want to hurt nobody regardless. I know a lot of people think of me as this, and that, which is cool. I respect that, right? But even though I sweated, bleeded for the causa de M, I didn't walk away from what I was, right? I walked away from the beliefs. I just didn't trust and believe in them no more. And I guess it comes as a whole, right? But I really honestly believe they're poison for raza. But you know, I heard somebody, an older camarada, or old ex-camarada, that don't admit that he had to check in for whatever reason, right? You know, if they're not there, someone else will step up, and it's the truth. I don't know why raza we tend to need, you know, figureheads to guide us. I guess from what we're missing as young, right? We need instructions. And believe me, I don't say this to disrespect. I was a big follower to the point where you guys know, and you guys don't even know half of the missions I had to do inside. But the main ones that caused me to be moved from prison, right? But I was loyal, tonto, blind, up into the point where, man, I went into wars for this Billy. I made him a lot of money. I did what I didn't believe in, which is trusted a family I loved to save money, and he thought he could get away with. He clipped that person while I was in a ranch going to war, protecting people for him, jale for him, basically in hiding for a mission I put for him in Wasages. And he never thought that his best soldado would come and tell me the truth. Hey, you guys call me what you want, you know, there ain't no loyalty from there here. Why should I have loyalty, right? To them. I completed my mission, state, federal, Mexico, street. I am winning out. I took a step up, and believe me, it was to boomerang and take action, but God had different plans, right? But anyways, Sorry I distracted is when the decision was made from his padrino, right? Babu and Kenny was a co-signer and there was two other Pilis. As you guys know, Katana got out. He's in the terre out here. You know, he's one of them Pilis everyone asked me to touch on, that has a lot of power. He's young, but he's a smart individual. But you see, at the end of the day, be smart. Like I said, to become one, it's not just about what you can do and bring to the table. They put a scenario to where if you're willing to go there, even if you're not a Tecato, to have them Tecato mind set, snake-like person to attack those you actually grew up and have love for on just peria or greed. And I know a lot of people ain't gonna agree with me because they're gonna say, well, homeboys lost. They were paying it back, but they were paying it back. But they utilized something that Billy that was pushing under this, it was busted for the same. But again, it only affects camaradas. Billies are above rules and regulations. So, be smart. I'm not gonna say camaradas never win cause they do. But it ain't about what you can do being a soldado. Remember, families gets tired. So you gotta ask yourself, am I gonna be able to go through a grip of time and always bring to the table to stay relevant? Or like the homie, right? Get out and have the backing of his family to wherever he's at, believe me, he's gonna stay relevant. And this is gonna be a second part. Out here, well, there's been a couple things that happen amongst camaradas and Katana, and I feel it's a good in look for the message, right? Again, it's all out there, I don't touch on current stuff, cause and before I go, I want to answer those who have been asking me on my thoughts on all this he says, she says on YouTube. You know what? My respects. I think any man, everybody on YouTube could talk about the next man or about whatever. I don't agree with it. But again, I ain't nobody. Never been nobody, will never be nobody, right? To even comment on it. So my respects. I do agree with certain people. No need for names again. That certain things should not be spoken on that could hurt, regardless if you like these individuals as myself, right? I don't like them for a lot of reasons, but I would never help the Federicos to. I was a lifer. I don't wish jail on nobody, period. But anyways, again, my respects. I personally, you guys know, I'm on here for the message. I'm not on here for one comadre, what other people are doing on YouTube. I honestly have my looks on and my respects. I disculpenme. With this said, hope I didn't sound too bad today. Been a terrible day is why this is actually late. It's already 3 in the morning. I can't sleep, but do know I send my love. Please stay true to yourself and loyal to loved ones. Stay wise at all times. Answers are all out there, not necessarily me. A wise man said, it's always smart to take whatever, analyze it, dissect it, take, throw out whatever you think might be useful for what you're doing. Buenas noches.